Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is David Kidwell. I'm Minister of Music at Edwards Church, Northampton. Music at the Crossroads is a concert series that was started by the music ministry a couple of years ago, and we put on several concerts a year, usually featuring local musicians, and usually music that is both sacred and secular, classical and popular, and ancient and modern. And I'm so happy you're here for today's concert. The fees for the artists are covered by the church, and that allows us to use 100% of the donations that we collect to go to local charities or causes that the church supports. And today's donations will go to Irita, who is in sanctuary at the Unitarian Society in Northampton. And to tell you a little bit more about that, please welcome the Reverend Janet Bush and Joan O'Brien.
Good afternoon. I'm Joan O'Brien. I'm leader of the sanctuary team, and we're really happy to be here this afternoon. When we decided just about 2 years ago to become a sanctuary congregation, we knew we couldn't do it alone, and we haven't been doing it alone. We also didn't really know, or we knew that we didn't know what it was going to take. Michael McSherry, one of the ministers here, has said several times really that it's really much more of a marathon than a sprint. And that has been very true. We are now 20 months into sanctuary, and we have had assistance from a number of neighboring congregations, but we really appreciate the prayers and meals and assistance and volunteering and shopping carts and financial assistance that we've received from all of you. So thank you very much, and we're thrilled to be at this afternoon's concert. Thank you.
I'd just like to add to that, for anyone who doesn't know, Arita is a mother of 5-year-old twin girls and a 12-year-old boy. She was a wait staff person in a restaurant in Westfield, and somebody who, like many immigrants, was receiving stays of deportation under the immigration policies of the Obama administration. And when Donald Trump came into office, the stays of deportation were no longer being extended for many, many people. And like other immigrants who've gone into sanctuary, she chose to ask to basically give up her regular life and come and ask for sanctuary, and we ended up through the Pioneer Valley Worker Center taking her in. And as Joan said, she's been here since April of 2018. And I will just repeat what Joan said. We are so grateful. Someone said, actually, Michael, you're wrong. It's not a marathon. Someone said the other night, it's a relay. And you all are our partners in the relay. And so we are very, very grateful.
Thank you both, and thank you all again for being here today. Hope you enjoy becoming sanctuary for one another. And now I give you to the very capable hands of Danny Shanahan.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone from Edwards Edwards Church and the music committee, and for giving us sanctuary today. And thank you for bringing the sanctuary of your presence today. Thank you to those who have joined us for the past 6 or 7 years and those who have come for the first time. Welcome. Thank you. Becoming sanctuary for each other. This theme is continued from last year as the people and the earth itself are much in need of sanctuary today. And as you can see on the beautifully conceived cover of our program, which is the work of local artist Margaret Humbert-Droz, we are the light we seek. And by taking time to pause and treasure what is sacred within us, we become sacred for ourselves and others. The poems and songs and stories we'll sing today hopefully will light the lamp of Advent and will bring some peace to you in the midst of this busy but holy season. I'm blessed to have a garden of wonderful artists and long-term friends. I'd like to start with my wife, Carla, who's really dedicated much of her life to the study and the singing of sacred texts. And oftentimes I'll be coming home and the house will be filled with those sounds. And she gets the Patience Award for keeping me inside the white lines, no easy task, after 33 years. And I don't know if this is anybody's first time and has not met or heard David Kidwell. I invite you to come anytime. He's brilliant, spontaneous, studied, organist, pianist, plays strings, he's choir master here. And oftentimes when I listen to David, my heart breaks open. And I hope that happens for everyone here today too. Robert Jonas is a dear friend and is founder of the Empty Bell, a sanctuary that contemplates the teachings of different spiritual traditions. He is, as you heard, a shakuhachi flute master. These flutes have been used in China, in ancient China, and also more recently, past couple of hundred years in Zen meditation centers. He's dedicated, as is his wife, Margaret Bullitt Jonas, who's here today, in protecting the environment. He is a leader at the Kestrel Land Foundation, and Margaret is a creation minister, Episcopal minister, teaching people all over the country, and is an activist on how to deal emotionally and spiritually and psychologically with the cataclysm of climate change. And my good friends, Russell Mariani, Meagan, whom I met in the 70s. We've been doing performances like these. We had a little group called Drumming. And Russell is a storyteller and a great healer, a mythology student, and a good poet. And Meagan is a storyteller. And I've always been impressed by her soulfulness and graciousness. And last but not least is Joe Johnson, who I've been working with in kirtans, chanting sessions over the past couple of years. And he joins us today, and he just had a baby. And Naomi and his wife, Autumn, and of course Annie Tuzman. I'm skipping over my notes here. Annie Tuzman has been a friend of ours for over 20 years, and she's a poet, a writing coach, and the author of the Baal Shem Tov, which you'll be reading from today. So we're going to begin the program now. Thank you again for coming.
In this time of Advent, here's a poem that I am liberally dancing with by Shanahan. Now I wait. Now I wait, we wait in darkness for a dawn. Someone is arriving everywhere at once. Someone holy is arriving everywhere at once. With mercy, with a wave of voices, inner voices, voices around us. Celestial bodies singing for everyone. The spirit of love rests upon everything today and in each moment. An angel's hand, someone, something, everything is sacred, everywhere at once. Someone, something, everything is sacred, everywhere at once.
This is a Gregorian chant. It's taken from Ecclesiastes in the Book of Wisdom from the 4th century. I was created from the beginning and before this age, and unto the age to come I shall have no end. And in the holy dwelling of the universe I have ministered to him. Ab initio et ante saecula creata sum, et usque ad futurum saeculum nam desinam, et in habitatione sancta coram ipso ministravi. I was created from the beginning and before this age, and unto the age to come I shall have no end. And in the holy dwelling of this universe I have ministered to him. This is the annunciation of the angel Gabriel to Mary, that she will be the mother of Jesus. The angel Gabriel spoke to Mary, saying, "Hail, full of grace. The Lord is with thee. The Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women." Gabriel angelus locutus est Maria dicens, Ave gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, have spent was the night.
Here's a poem from Rumi, 13th century mystic. And I think it's important to mention that we're all mystics. If we listen more deeply, if we drop beneath the level of noise that is always going on in us and around us, there is a level of kind of vibration of presence that is holy. It's happening all the time and everywhere. This is the mystic that we all are. You came suddenly, like a resurrection, like an infinite blessing. And my thoughts burned like trees on fire. My thoughts burned like trees on fire. You came today like God Himself, generous, full of grace, holding the key to my freedom in your hands, and you set me free. Both traveler and the road, the beginning and the end. You are the gatekeeper of the sun. For so long I have lived in pain, suspended between my longings and my need for bread. Now you have risen in my heart and taken over my thoughts. I'm breaking the pen, leaving the paper behind. You are the gatekeeper of the sun.
The Tremble of Love, a novel of the Baal Shem Tov, is inspired by the legendary spiritual master Rabbi Yisroel ben Eliezer, known as the Baal Shem Tov, the good master of the name, who beckoned forth love from the hearts of rag pickers, ruby merchants, midwives, and murderers. Set in the 1700s in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, this reimagining of one of history's most revered and revolutionary mystics transports readers back in time to experience the true meaning of power and the timeless grace of love. So come back with me now to 1745 in what is now Ukraine, as Gershon, an esteemed rabbi and judge in the rabbinical court of Brody, joins the mysterious and baffling Yisroel, who has been an enigma to him since their first encounter. Eager for an opportunity to accompany his brother-in-law, Gershon asked Yisroel if he might join him, to which Yisroel readily assented. Early the following morning, Gershon donned heavier than usual boots, knowing that Yisroel had begun making his way to the city's outskirts by foot. After Gershon and Yisroel had walked quite a distance, it became clear that his brother-in-law had no destination in mind. Gershon had heard from Hannah and others who walked with Yisro, that this was often the case until a particular destination became apparent to Yisro. Then he would make his way with clear determination and purpose to the person or place that had revealed itself. Today, Gershom was led to a hut, the home of blind Enoch, who in his younger, more able days had been a peddler of tinwares. Enoch had not always been blind. He had lost his vision gradually. Once completely blind, the peddler made his way through perpetual darkness with his wares. Citizens joked that although everything else had disappeared, the Tin Man could always find himself because of the rattling of his cups attached to his rickety cart. Now an old man, Enoch lived from the charity of others. His neighbors brought him small meals, stews and soups, a fresh Carla or a bit of wine for the Sabbath, and whatever else they would spare. When Yisroel knocked, a hoarse voice bade him enter. After greeting Enoch, Yisroel announced that it was time to pray the afternoon service. Enoch said nothing, but a slight furrowing of the old man's forehead, barely distinguishable among the folds of his aged skin, suggested he had heard Yisroel and was uncertain or confused about what was being asked of him. Yisroel drew 2 small prayer books from within his woolen vest, handing one of the prayer books to Gershom. Then Yisroel, with Gershom following suit, proceeded to pray. As Gershom had suspected, the simple tin peddler was ignorant of the words and remained silent. Not only this, the man did not even recognize the beginning of the prayer of the 18 benedictions and note to stand. Had they been in a synagogue then, at the moment when the curtains of the Holy Ark were pulled aside, revealing the Torah, to remain seated would have been a transgression. Gershom looked up and was startled to see tears coming from Enoch's opaque, filmy eyes. But it surprised Gershom more to watch Yisroel draw close and touch his finger to the old man's cheek in tears. The longing of your heart is a powerful prayer, Reb Enoch, Yisroel chanted as if still praying. The tears you offer your Creator are as holy as the words others offer. Your Creator is not blind, but it is not with physical eyes that she beholds you now and has beheld you every moment that you have longed for mercy in your dark hut. The man wept, his soft whimpering reminding Gershom of a wounded animal. Enoch! Yisroel's commanding voice shocked Gershom, as did the contrast with his preceding tenderness. You are not a beggar at the table of your compassionate Creator, Yisroel said firmly. Your poverty, your ignorance of the words of prayer, even your anger when dragging wares that do not find buyers, none of this distances you. Distances the Creator, the one who created you, and your pots and your ladles. Gershom watched a smile begin to form on Enoch's dry, cracked lips. Yisroel reached for the peddler's hands, taking them into his own. Enoch, grant yourself peace in your final days. You are not alone and abandoned, although it may seem so to you. The darkness in which you sit can be illumined by even the slightest flame of love. The peddler's brow wrinkled, though it seemed impossible for there to be any more furrows in his forehead. Love, he repeated hoarsely, as if hearing the word for the first time. Reb Enoch, now is the time to strike a holy bargain with God, Yisroel said. Enoch looked even more bewildered. Give up your unworthiness as if it were a useless, battered tin cup. Let God purchase it. Payment shall be the only currency God uses. Love. Just a mere coin of divine love can fill your heart and your hut with the light you crave.
This is a poem titled While the Moon Still Pulses in the Snow. And it was written in December as the sun was just coming up over the ridge of the ledges, which is that rim of hills that surround Shelburne Falls. While the moon still pulses in the snow at dawn, I see the brilliant one hurrying across the ridge, igniting trees like tapers, one by one. There are scriptures that say, the teacher has become this very universe. There are scriptures that say, the teacher has become this very universe. Standing in the path of the radiant one like this, who can say otherwise? Whether in the mosque of time, or the sanctuary of unfathomable space, she has blessed us in every room of her mansion. Whether in the mosque of time, or the sanctuary of unfathomable space, she has blessed us in every room of her mansion. Standing in the path of the radiant one like this, who can say otherwise? My Lord, what a morning! Oh, my Lord, what a morning! Oh, my Lord, what a morning! Oh, when your stars begin to fall. Oh, my Lord, what a morning! Oh, my Lord, what a morning! Oh, my Lord, what a morning when your stars begin to So this section is going to be about refugees. And we're beginning with the story of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph from Matthew in the Gospel, and their escape from Bethlehem to Egypt, which then resonates with the great Exodus, the Jewish people from Egypt. And Meagan will be reading a story, a poem about refugees. And it just seems that the entire globe is in a state of fleeing from an incomprehensible unkindness. And so we wanted to include a section on refugees. And there is one piece here that I'll be reading as well. that talks about the unkindness to the earth. And that the earth is actually, like you and I are daughters of the great mystery, so too is the earth.
Refugee story. The first glimpse that we have of the significance of this moment, we also read in the Gospel of John that there is darkness, but a light shines in the darkness, and the darkness will never overcome it. The escape to Egypt. When they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. In a dream. "Get up," the angel said. "Take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is coming. Herod is coming to search for the child, to kill him." So Joseph got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and left. And where he passed into the desert, he stayed until the death of Herod. And so was fulfilled what the Lord had said through the prophet. "Out of Egypt I called my son, my daughter, and my family. Out of the darkness I call you." And there is this light that we come to, this light that will never be overcome by the darkness.
Uprooted. Long, ragged lines of lost people wrap around the wide boundaries of earth, like roots seeking soil. Day after day they walk, trudging onward, leaving behind a little or the much that they once had. A multitude of refugees departing, fleeing from whatever has loosened them, their bond with the past. Poverty-worn workers trying to cross unwelcome borders, seeking jobs, homeless ones walking away from rubble and debris, tattered by earthquakes, fires, floods, the terrified running from rebels and dictators, others fleeing the chaos of uncertainty and wounds too old, too deep to heal. The ugly whip of pain and destruction forces the long lines forward, rootless, unpretentious, allowing them little time to glance backward at what they leave behind. They look ahead with anxious eyes, eyes that only the emptied can understand, wondering if they will find a place where roots grow strong and home is undisturbed. A prayer
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow, thou art with me. Though my heart's been torn on fields of battle, thou art with me. Though my trust is gone and my faith not near, in love's sanctuary thou art with me. Through desolation's fear and fear's dark thunder, thou art with me. Through the sea of desires that drag me under, thou art with me. I've been traded in like a souvenir, but in love's sanctuary, thou art with me. Through the doubter's gloom and the cynic's sneer, thou art with me. In the crowded rooms of a mind unclear, thou art with me. Though I walk for a while down a trail of tears, in love's sanctuary thou art with me. In love's sanctuary thou art with me. In love's sanctuary thou art with me. In love's sanctuary thou art with me.
So this reading is taken from a prayer about 600 BC in the time of Nebuchadnezzar in the Old Testament. And it's attributed to the writings of Daniel. And in that hymn, the author is asking all of heaven and earth and all that has ever been created to praise the Lord. But what has been coming up for me is that the earth itself needs praise and blessing and prayer. She is the daughter of the heavens, of the great mystery. And so I've adapted this poem to, instead of praising the Lord, praising Mother Earth. And it's called a canticle, which is a form of chant. Mother of all the planets and black galaxies, bless the earth. All the things earth has made, bless the earth. Give praise to our mother, for she is sacred. Mother of all planets and galaxies, bless the earth. Mother of angels, bless bless the earth. Waters above the heavens bless Mother Earth. Power of the heavens bless the earth. Stars of the heavens pray for Mother Earth. Showers and dews and ice and wind cool the earth. Nights and days bless her forever. Lightning and clouds strengthen the earth. Mountains and hills and birds sing to her. Seas and rivers sing to our Mother. Sea beasts and everything that lives in water love the earth. Children and elders of the earth protect the earth. Spirits and souls of all time protect the earth.
Here are a few lines from St. Teresa of Avila, 16th century Spanish nun, leader with St. John of the Cross of the Discalced Carmelite order. Discalced means unshod. This particular order, the people went barefoot on the earth, blessing the earth, knowing that the earth is coming out of the nowhere that is God, because God is everywhere. Christ has no body now but ours. No hands but ours. No feet but ours. Ours are the eyes that through Christ's love and compassion look out upon the world. Our eyes. Ours are the feet to which he used to go about doing good. Ours are the hands with which he is blessing all creatures now. Ours are the hands that through Christ are blessing all creatures now.
With your feet I walk. I carry forth your body. For me, your mind thinks. Your voice speaks through me. Beauty is before me, and beauty is behind me. Above and below hovers the beautiful. I'm surrounded by it. In my youth, I was aware of it. And in my old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. With your feet, I walk. I carry forth your body. For me, your mind thinks. Your voice speaks through me.
A story of sanctuary. The Star Money. A fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. Once upon a time ago, there was a young girl. The young girl was all alone in the world. Her parents had died. She had no room, she had no bed. All she had were the clothes she had on her body, and she had a crust of bread that a generous soul had given to her. And so because she felt all alone in this world, she decided that she would walk out in the open countryside. And there she would pray to the God of heaven and earth, and she would travel where the path led her. And so she walked out over the country. She met an old man. He was very hungry, and he asked for her crust of bread, and so she gave it to him. And as she walked along the path that became less trodden, a child stopped her, and his head was cold. And so she gave him her hood. And another child came to her who asked for her cloak. And of course, she gave her cloak. And as she walked farther on where the path was less traveled upon, another child came to her, a boy who had no shirt. And so she gave him her shirt. And then, as she was about to enter into the forest and the night was falling, another child came to her and asked for her undershirt. And the young girl looked down and saw that that was all that she had left. And then she saw that it was dark. And she saw that she was in the forest. And she saw that there was no one there. And so she took off her shirt and gave it to the child. And so she stood naked in the forest, in the dark, with nothing. And she looked up at the sky and she saw that the sky was full of stars. And she looked up at the sky and she saw that the sky was full of stars there in the night sky. And as she was looking, she saw that these stars fell down to the earth as pieces of gold. And as that happened, she saw that she was clothed in a shirt of the finest linen. And that young girl walked out of the forest, and she walked along the path, and whomever she saw, she gave what she had. Whomever she saw, she was sanctuary for.
A few years ago, I was on retreat in a little cabin west of the Quabbin Reservoir. It's early December after a snowstorm. I'm snowshoeing into the Quabbin watershed, tracking a luminous shaft of light cascading out of the dark clouds down into the pines. As the light pours down, I'm filled with the stillness of the place. And like the hemlocks, the boughs of my body and mind are blessed with the peace of new snow. And like the hemlocks, the boughs of my body and mind are blessed with the peace of new snow. Suddenly, a happy flock of black-capped chickadees surround me. And their fluttering feathers and their sweet, thin, noted song enhances my delight. And then it begins to snow again. And I'm open enough now with awe to observe how each snow crystal falls from the sky, lands on the hemlock bough, tilts slightly, and then hooks onto another flake. This goes on for some time, deepening the quietude. And I realize I am alone with God, or an angel of creation who is at play, patiently stitching time and the world and you and I together, one gentle, thoughtful act at a time. And I realize I am alone with God, or an angel of creation who is at play, patiently stitching time and the world and all of us together, one gentle, thoughtful act at a time.
In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow was falling, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago. Oh, what can I bring him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what I can, I bring him my heart.
Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy outside, and he could hear the people in the court outside go whizzing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already. It had not been light all day, and candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring offices like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. The fog came pouring in at every chink and keyhole, and was so dense without that although the court was of the narrowest, the houses opposite were mere phantoms. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open, that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, who in a dismal little cell beyond, a sort of tank, was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked to be one coal. But he couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room, and so surely as the clerk came in with the shovel, the master predicted that it would be necessary for them to part. Wherefore the clerk put on his white comforter and tried to warm himself at the candle, in which effort, not being a man of strong imagination, he fell. "A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!" cried a cheerful voice. It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew, who came upon him so quickly that this was the first intimation he had of his approach. "Bah," said Scrooge. "Humbug!" He had so heated himself with rapid walking in the fog and frost, this nephew of Scrooge's, that he was all in a glow. His face was ruddy and handsome. His eyes sparkled, and his breath smoked again. "Christmas, a humbug, Uncle? You don't mean that, I'm sure." "I do," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough." "Come then," returned the nephew gaily. "What right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough." Scrooge, having no better answer ready on the spur of the moment, said, "Bah, humbug." "Don't be cross, Uncle," said the nephew. "What else can I be," returned Scrooge, "when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas? Out upon Merry Christmas. What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer. A time for balancing your books and having every item in them through a round dozen of months presented dead against you. If I could work my will," said Scrooge indignantly, "every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly in his heart." "Uncle," pleaded the nephew. "Nephew," returned Scrooge, "you keep Christmas in your own way, and let me keep it in mine." "Keep it," repeated Scrooge's nephew. "But you don't keep it." "Let me leave it alone then," said Scrooge. "Much good it may do you. Much good it has ever done you." And then the nephew says, "There are many things from which I might have derived good, by which I have not profited, I dare say. Christmas among the rest. But I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time, when it has come round, apart from the veneration due to its sacred name and origin, if anything belonging to it can be apart from that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open up their shut hearts and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on separate journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good, and it will do me good, and I say, God bless it. God bless Christmas Day. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone.
O holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth.
Christmas, everybody.